Greyhound, starring Tom Hanks and Stephen Graham, with a script also written by Tom Hanks, interestingly. The film was slated to be released theatrically, but because of the pandemic was moved to Apple TV and was released just last weekend. It's a fictional story of a convoy mission during the Second World War. Tom Hanks plays a captain of a ship called Greyhound that is leading the escort of a transport ship convoy traveling across the Atlantic from the US to England. This is Tom Hanks' character's first mission ever. And as we learn at the beginning of the film, the first and last parts of the journey are rather safe, thanks to air support, thanks to planes. But the middle part, due to lack of coverage, lack of range of airplanes, is where the ships have to fend for themselves. And so they become targets for a group of German U-boats that start hunting them. Routine mission turns into a game of cat and mouse as both sides try to outmaneuver their enemies and stay alive until the end of the journey. So, as far as war movies go, I thought Greyhound was okay, but not special. The things I liked about it are the way the suspense is built and maintained throughout the film. You can really feel nervous about being in constant danger along with the sailors. I enjoyed Tom Hanks in the role of the captain. I thought he was surprisingly delicate in it. He manages to mix this sense of authority about this captain figure, but also a hint of uncertainty and vulnerability in the performance, which come from both his like natural character of this guy, of this captain, who's a very religious person, very kind of meek and not very aggressive, let's say, but also due to his lack of experience in the wartime. And I thought this was a nice change of pace from the typical hard-boiled military commanders that we're used to in American movies. I also like the pacing of the film. It is rather short at just over 90 minutes, and thanks to the quick runtime, it never feels drawn out. Things that I didn't like. I thought that the CGI was quite uneven. When we have shots of just the ships from these wide planes, it looks alright, but whenever it's Tom Hanks or other characters on deck and there's a battle raging in the background, you can clearly see that it's a green screen. The lighting doesn't really much, and it's almost painful to see. I also learned afterwards that some of the naval mechanics shown in Greyhound are completely inaccurate. An example, there's a point in the film where a U-boat dodges the cannon fire by sailing very close to the other ship so that the cannons can't go down enough to actually hit the U-boat, and they shoot above it. And apparently the easy counter maneuver is for the second ship to just bounce the other way, and then the U-boat would be in range again. So, and I've read that this is quite obvious for people who are into navy and sea battles. Also, the film has a very clear climax, but I felt that the resolution of that climax was a bit underwhelming. The tension is very high; it's the highest point, and then it's sort of gone. But that moment of release, which is the most important in a story, it isn't accentuated enough, and you can almost miss it completely. It's a huge tension, and then no tension at all. But this one moment is not really done very well, and that's not good. Having said all that, I think the good stuff still outweighs the bad. I think I at least managed to enjoy the film, even with its flaws. Although I have to say, Greyhound probably won't be a classic to return to.